Thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. When Apple announced the Apple Watch Series 6, I was hoping we'd get this, but instead, we got this. So it's been about 2 months since the Apple Watch Series 6 came out, and on first blush, not much has changed. There's some new sensors on board and some new colors, but fundamentally, the Apple Watch is what it was a few years ago. And that is to say, it is the best wearable on the market, and beyond that, it's the best-selling watch in the world. But because it didn't appear like there was drastic changes, I wanted to live with the watch. It's been on my wrist now for about 8 weeks. I want to share some thoughts and impressions now, 2 months later, with the Apple Watch Series 6. The Apple Watch, since the first one came out, has been my most useful piece of technology. If the phone was always in my hand, I can now keep it more often in my pocket. And never missing notifications, being able to always keep my phone on vibrate has been really nice. And I don't go anywhere without a smartwatch on my wrist, and when I'm on the iPhone, it's obviously always the Apple Watch. And while in a lot of ways I would have liked the Series 6 to change design just for, newness sake, it's not to take away from how incredibly good the Apple Watch Series 6 is and how historically good the line has been. So the design on the Series 6 obviously stayed the same. All that did change was now we have 2 new color options. There's a product red and the blue. I tried both of them because I figured, new colors, at least something looked different. I was not a fan of the red color when it was first shown off at the keynote. It looked too red, too bright. Quite frankly, I didn't feel like I could rock a red watch, so I went for the blue version. It didn't look any different, and I at least wanted something to look and feel different. So, as you can guess, I did opt for the red version of the watch, paired with a black band, and it's a lot more understated, I think, in person than it appears in sort of the photos and the videos, and especially in the keynote. And quite frankly, it's grown on me, but certainly there are other color and band options if that's your jam. So when the Apple Watch Series 6 first hit, I did experience a decent amount of battery issues. I was having about 15 to 20% more battery drain than I had the previous week when I was wearing the Apple Watch Series 5. So we've had now several software updates come to the Series 6, and it's now brought battery life back to par with the Apple Watch Series 5. Again, another reason I like to wait to do those reviews. That is to say, it is a full day watch. I certainly would have liked longer battery life. I think 2 days for a watch would have been nice. It does charge faster than last gen, which is a big deal because there's new sleep tracking features that are built in. So presumably you're not gonna have the whole night to charge up your watch. So health sensors are obviously a really big deal. And they're a big deal to me personally. I come from a family with a long line of heart issues. So being able to check my pulse and being able to have the ECG is a really nice feature to have. And again, familiarly, I have folks in my family that are constantly going into atrial fibrillation and switching back to sinus rhythm. So being able to have sort of the peace of mind that I could test that myself is really nice to have. But that's not unique to the Series 6. It's not even new to the Series 6. But what worked on previous versions of the Apple Watch does work very well here on the 6. What is new is blood oxygen levels. And Apple cannot say legally that it's for medical reasons. There's certain thresholds they have to meet. It's more for your own information. It's know what your blood oxygen levels are. And I'm presuming that information will be useful to Apple for other new features that might come down the road. I will say, for me, it probably works about 80% of the time, and then 20% it just doesn't register at all. It has gotten better since launch. That 80% sort of working was about 50% when the watch first launched. So your mileage might vary on it. Even though it's not useful to me personally, I am all for more health monitoring being on your wrist. I think it gives people more data, more information to use in their life. Maybe you have a disease where blood oxygen level is important to you, in which case you would probably love being able to always have that sort of on you. Maybe someday we can get blood pressure testing. Sort of all of these things that we could build to future Apple Watches are awesome and certainly not going to be useful to everybody all the time. So sleep tracking is here on the Series 6. The software was supported on older Apple Watches. I've talked pretty publicly about having sleep issues, so I'm very interested in sleep tracking. but I can't wear the Apple Watch while I sleep. It's too big, it's caught on my pillow, it just wakes me up, which defeats the whole purpose of, trying to get a good night's sleep. So I didn't test the Series 6 too much with the sleep tracking side. So if that's something that's important to you, try to wear it at night. Maybe you won't have any issue with it, but as somebody who's a really light sleeper like me, anything that wakes me up is a problem. So whether or not an Apple Watch Series 6 is right for you, what should be right for you is internet security. And the best way to do that is with Surfshark's VPN. VPNs, at least for me, are super important for a few reasons. First, it can mask what I'm doing online if I don't want any trail for bank information or personal information sort of being out there on the internet, especially if I'm on public Wi-Fi. But more useful and something you might not know is all your streaming services you subscribe to, like Disney Plus, for example, have different libraries in different countries. So if you want to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's not available in the US on Disney Plus. But if you use Surfshark and log in from one of their Australia locations, suddenly that content is available there for you. And that's not just for Disney Plus. They have 15 different libraries for Netflix. It's a great way to experience other content that you're already paying for anyway. It's available on pretty much every device you could think of. Obviously, iOS, Android, Fire Stick, Xbox, browser. It is going to be available there for you. Unlimited devices too, so you're not worried about sort of only having one or two that can log in. It works well, and it works as advertised. So we'll link to it down below, but if you go to surfshark.deal/John, enter promo code John, J-O-N, you will get 83% off and 3 extra months free. It's a really good deal for a service that works as advertised. So the Apple Watch Series 6 is really good, but there are some things that I wish it did differently. And these are like real tangible things that could happen, and quite frankly, I think should happen. So let's start with charging. So since the Apple Watch debuted, it's got a little magnetic puck. It authenticates with magnets, then it charges with Qi. And it's worked really well, and now it's kind of like a mini MagSafe. I would still really like to be able to charge my watch on a regular Qi pad without the magnetic authorization. But when I travel, trying to bring an extra charging cable has gotten certainly a bit annoying. I also think the watch now, as powerful as it's becoming, needs to be more self-sufficient on its own without relying on the phone itself. So the big one, the giant thing about the Apple Watch is software updates. Being able to update itself without having to download the update to your phone, and then from your phone to your watch. The other issue, and if you switch phones often, is the backup and restore functionality of the Apple Watch. And usually it does work. So this is a small, more nitpicky thing, but it boils down to I wish I could control backups. And now that the watch is more self-sufficient, I'd just like to be able to control everything directly from the watch itself. And probably the most requested thing on the Apple Watch is third-party watch faces. Apple makes a giant deal every Apple Watch keynote. They're adding like new watch faces, and they're all Apple sanctioned, Apple signed, Apple designed watch faces, and you can add some complications to them. I would love to have third-party watch options. At some point that's coming, WatchKit, whatever they call it, will be here. It just seems ridiculous that now 6 generations in, we still don't have that ability. So those are all things that I think the Apple Watch could realistically add. But sort of looking more forward thinking, Series 6, Series 7 as technology advances, what would kind of the dream Apple Watch changes be? So for me, I would love a circular design, or at least have the option to choose my design. I've got a really soft spot in my heart for the OG Moto 360 watch. And I get that you'd lose some screen real estate and maybe watch faces wouldn't look as good. But for me, watches are always round, and I would like to have that new form factor here. Apple Watches, almost every generation, has actually had a hidden smart connector on the bottom of the watch. And there was talk that was going to be used for new third-party watch accessories and also first-party watch accessories. So imagine battery bands, a little thicker band that's got some extra juice for your watch, or maybe a band that can be used as a blood pressure cuff. There's a lot of options for what that could be and what it could do. The Apple Watch is a very powerful little computer. Being able to let it do more than just vibrate when someone's giving you a phone call, I think would be a huge benefit to Apple. So enabling that smart connectivity somehow to either be first or third party smart bands, I think would be an awesome way for not only Apple to sell more stuff, but also let people customize their utility. So I mean, it's fun to look forward about what the Apple Watches are going to be, but none of that takes away from how good and useful the Apple Watch Series 6 is right now. And useful to me might not be useful to you, but in my life, the Apple Watch Series 6 adds incredible amount of value and saves me a lot of time. I don't expect huge changes between now and when the Series 7 eventually debuts, but it's a mature platform. And it might look very identical to the first watch that came. And there's certainly argument to be made of change for change's sakes. But what has changed with the watch is a really good product has gotten better. And a useful product has gotten more useful over time, to the point where the Series 6 always is going to have a spot on my wrist. And if you're in the market for a new watch, be it the Series 6 or the Apple Watch SE, I don't think you'll be disappointed with either choice.